Hello everyone. I'm here on camera again, and as most of my regular viewers will know, today is the day I usually release my podcast. Well, for obvious reasons, I have delayed this week's podcast till next week, and I'm going to talk today about the horrific terrorist attacks that took place in London yesterday. And those attacks have left 5 people dead and several people with catastrophic injuries. Now, make no mistake, yesterday's event wasn't a flash in the pan. It wasn't a one-off. Things like this are only going to get more and more common. And not just here in the UK, but across the whole Western world. Events like yesterday will be seen as just the beginning, just the start of a torrent of terrorism and attacks on native European people. They're going to sweep this continent and North America. And they'll increase as more and more of these people come here and as their birth rate increases. And this isn't just a problem limited to immigration. It isn't just a problem limited to these people coming to our shores. You see, it's not just the refugees. It's not just the newly arrived immigrants. It's also the sons and grandsons of these immigrants. Because despite what the liberal politicians want to tell you, despite the fact they say, oh, when they come here, they'll become acclimatised, they'll become just as British as Yorkshire pudding and roast beef. That isn't the case. You can give these people British passports. You can put them in Adidas tracksuits and Nike trainers. You can give them a job in the local supermarket. But that doesn't make them the same as us. And that can be seen blatantly in what has happened yesterday in London. Now, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, sickeningly described terrorist attacks as part and parcel of normal life, of just living in a big city. Well, that's very interesting, because what's going to be next is the grooming of young girls going to be part and parcel of our normal life? Are acid attacks on women going to be just part and parcel of normal life? What about female genital mutilation? Will that just become part and parcel of British life? You see, Sadiq Khan is a Muslim, and that's why he isn't going to be held up and pilloried for what he said. You see, if a white mayor had said something despicable, like murder is just part and parcel of normal life, rape, is that just part and parcel of normal life? They would have been forced to resign, or at the very least, issue the most humbling and grovelling of apologies. But Sadiq Khan, he won't be resigning. The liberal media, the politicians, they're not going to be pulling him up on what he said or calling for his head. Now, what's going to be the liberal response to these horrific events? Candlelit vigils? Multi-faith ceremonies where we all stand around holding hands, singing Kumbaya? Maybe people will change their Facebook pictures. I don't know. I've not been on Facebook yet today. I've not had a proper look, but there might even be a little graphic that people are overlaying their pictures with already, so they can show solidarity with the victims. But ultimately, all of those things are utterly facile responses to an extremely serious problem. But when it all boils down to it, I'm sure the greatest and most unified liberal response to all of this will be to call for more understanding for Muslims. The greatest liberal worry now won't be for the dead and injured. It'll be that people don't say mean things on social media about the people who did this or about the religion that they adhered to. You see, liberals are more worried about mean words said about their multicultural experiment than they are worried about the health and safety of the native European people. Now, what's my response to this? Well, my response to this was yesterday on Twitter to share the quite graphic images of the victims, to let the world see the real face and the real effects of Islamic terror. Now, I'd been attacked yesterday on Twitter for doing so. I've had several liberals tweeting me rabidly, please, please take down these images, show some compassion. Please, the world doesn't need to see this. That's very odd, because when that boy washed up on the beach in Turkey, every liberal showed that picture. Everyone was retweeting it. It was all over the papers. It was all over the news. It was shoved down our throats. Because ultimately, these liberals realise that we're moved by emotion. And they showed us the picture of that boy washed up on the beach to emotionally move and blackmail the public into accepting more immigration, into welcoming more of these Muslim immigrants into this country and into the West as a whole. And that's why I'm going to carry on sharing those images. And that's why I'm going to ask you to do the same. Everyone needs to share those graphic and unsettling images of the victims of yesterday's terrorist attacks. You see, our people need to have those images burned into their retinas. They need to understand the problems they're going to face. Because believe me, if our people aren't moved by all of this now, then they're going to end up one day being eradicated by it.